I feel strongly that our yoga teacher training program does a really good job of teaching you how to teach all levels in the studios, how to anticipate and respond to the needs of our senior students, as well as how to create welcoming experiences for our newer students, or our students who are healing, our students who are brand new to fitness, our students who are brand new to yoga. There's an opportunity, I think, to help us teach classes that maybe don't take place in a studio, maybe classes that take place at a hospital, or a parks department, or a workplace, right? Places that don't necessarily have mirrors, places that don't necessarily have heat, okay? I'm very grateful for the opportunity to showcase the Open Up Yoga Teacher Training signature Hatha fusion sequence, okay? It is outlined and codified in the Yoga Teacher Training manual that I wrote called Teaching Yoga, a Side Hustle to Save the World. How to live your yoga, earn your living, and make the world an even better place, okay? So to this end, we have a tradition that we are putting out into the world, and we have been for a little over than 5 years, wouldn't you say? Like, we got established and credentialed and certified and accredited and registered with the Yoga Alliances and RYS in July of 2013. Yoga Alliance RYS number 118213. That's us. And I started teaching Hatha classes, power classes, Yin classes, Yoga Nidra, and Yoga Sculpt classes in workshop form to people becoming yoga teachers. Okay? It was my mission to provide a 200-hour yoga teacher training program in which a person could emerge ready to teach day one after graduation in the formats of Hatha fusion, power yoga, Yin yoga, Yoga Sculpt, and Yoga Nidra. Let's talk a little bit about Hatha fusion. Let's avoid confusion. Let's celebrate the progenitor of this tradition, Bikram Chaudhry, as you know, in 1971, created and had the chance to copyright his class, the yoga series called Bikram's Beginning Yoga. I'm on my bookshelf here looking for my copy. It must be in the car. So I'm going to show you a non-Bikram resource that you can use to study what we would traditionally call the traditional series, the 26 and 2. 26 poses, 2 breathing activities, codified in 1971 by Bikram Chaudhry. This great book called Hot Yoga is by Marilyn Barnett, and it is a non-Bikram interpretation of the Bikram series. It is from this 26 poses and 2 breathing activities that we have created our signature sequence, taking what is a 90-minute class, turning it to a 60-minute class. And we take liberties with the sequence in this tradition for a couple of reasons. And I want to establish and set the intention right now as to why. I want to tell you more the rationale behind our sequence. The first step in doing so, however, is to celebrate the traditional interpretation. So the Bikram method of 26 poses and 2 breathing activities is my personal practice. And my teacher at my school, where I am a devoted student and I will be to the day I die, I practice this sequence 2 times a week minimum, 90-minute class. 3 times a week optimally. And when I teach that series at Lakeview Yoga and Wellness in Kenmore, Washington, I adhere strictly to the traditional 26 poses and 2 breathing activities happily, because that's what we do at our school at Lakeview. And I love it. I love the school. I love our founder. I love my teacher, Vidal Baton. He is the inspiration really behind everything in this book. And we can celebrate the traditional Bikram method for what it is, a discipline. And because it is a discipline, it is one system with one way to do each posture. And it's like martial arts. You know, there's one way to rock, and 99% right in a pose is 100% wrong. So your choices include doing the posture or laying down taking Shavasana. That is that tradition, okay? Open Up Yoga Teacher Training, we are a tradition unto ourselves, inspired by the Bikram method, inspired by Baron Baptiste Power Vinyasa Flow Yoga, inspired by Bernie Clark, Sarah Powers in the Yin tradition, inspired by Jennifer Rice in the Yoga Nidra tradition, and inspired by Hot Yoga Incorporated Yoga Sculpt tradition in our Sculpt modules that we teach. But my point is this: the Open Up Yoga Teacher Training Hatha fusion sequence is just that. It's a fusion of all of these traditions, really. And why? Why not just teach the Bikram method? Why not just stick to the hot series? Why not just teach it the way I teach it when I teach the 90-minute format? Well, I'll tell you why, and that's what the purpose is of this video. I'm going to play the sequence on my television here while we talk about the choices that we make in our sequence and the reasons behind our choices. And I want a chance to explain the rationale behind what I kept in the sequence and what I omitted in the sequence and what I changed in the sequence and the reasons why, okay? So let's begin. Open Up Yoga Teacher Training. We do not teach poses, we teach people. So right off the bat, we are looking at the biomechanic individualities of the person and making the postures work for them. Right away, we are running counter to the Bikram method. Okay, so I will say not the word Bikram method moving forward in this lecture. I will say traditional hot Hatha. Let's distinguish that from Open Up Yoga Teacher Training Signature Hatha Fusion Series. Okay, it is a series. That means that this class never changes, that this is the sequence that we have created, and here's why. We have all kinds of bodies, we have all kinds of abilities, we have all kinds of people from all walks of life who need yoga, okay? We call this a side hustle to save the world, so here's what we're gonna do. We wanna give people the safest class possible, assuring them the best results that they can achieve in the body that has brought them to class today in the fastest amount of time. So when I take liberties with the traditional sequence, I'm adhering to those three guiding principles. Safest, best results in the quickest amount of time. All right? Now compare that to the traditional hot Hatha class. That is a practice that we happily embark upon and we stay on forever. And I don't know about your personal experience, but I know it took me from the years 2006 to about 2016 before I really loved the 26 and 2. To be clear, I only ever loved it after 2015 when I started practicing with Vidal. But in my journey as an expert yoga teacher, I take issue with a few of the poses for the general population, all right? So I'm not presuming to teach you how to teach the traditional hot class to the traditional hot class students. No. We teach that when we teach them. I'm proposing we teach this when we teach everybody else, okay? General population people, folks at the supermarket, right? Folks who are at the bowling alley across the street from our beautiful school at Lakeview. People of the everyday walk of life, not yoga teachers and not accomplished yoga students. I would like to offer this class as a way to help people build a foundation for their practice. This is an entry-level class, but it also opens the door for the more experienced students to enjoy their practice as well. And we'll look at how. So let's run the tape of a class I taught to just a group of 3 people in teacher training, and we can stop and talk about the sequencing, the rationale behind the choices, and what makes this different from the traditional series, and why we included or excluded poses in our choices. Let's begin. Hey, Greg, will you double check my work here? I'm noticing that the TV looks pretty bright behind me, and I'm curious. Okay, so we'll make some adjustments. All right, so we're starting this video, and we're going to just do a little commentary alongside it. Got to start your class with the sound of a bell. And you'll notice the first thing that's different between our sequence and the traditional is that we're starting in what? Child's pose. So rather than doing the traditional pranayama breathing, which is wonderful in the traditional series, we're instead accomplishing this transition from the normal everyday walk of life to the entry point of your yoga practice on your yoga mat in this universally appropriate, accessible posture of balasana. We're not doing 10 rounds of 6-count breath in and out here. No. We're getting them organized. Honey, can you come check my work? So the idea here is, it's hanging, that instead of bringing them to the practice where you interlace your fingers in a watertight grip underneath your chin, you empty your lungs, and you breathe in and lift your elbows, and you breathe out and drop your elbows, we're instead bringing them into what you would typically see in a vinyasa class. It's a great time for students to find their breath, to carve out a little bit of time for themselves, and to become acquainted with the body that has brought them to class today. So you can listen in on this dialogue as we work to that goal. Can you Facebook Live this one then while that's in process? You put Facebook Live up on that. So as you notice here, it's an inhale to lift into the cow spine and an exhale. So maybe the phone could be the Facebook Live moment while we get that going. Inhale, lift your eyes and hips, and exhale, H-A, ha. This is the opportunity for them to really set aside the day to get into their practice. I'm not disputing the value of traditional pranayama breathing in the traditional Hatha class, but I submit to you humbly, this is a little bit more efficient for our purposes, teaching the general population. It's just a little bit more accessible for the general population. Folks who have tech neck, really tight shoulders, and maybe the head jutting forward syndrome in their body positioning. The idea here is to comfortably transition them to the standing up and to set your intention moment. It's from this place then that we enter into the warm-up for Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon pose. So the idea is that we weren't walking in saying, hey, welcome to class, let's stand up, do traditional pranayama breathing. Instead it was, hey guys, come to your mat, come to your breath, notice that you're breathing. And then we came to tabletop, cat-cow, downward facing dog. We walked to the front of the mat, inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fold, and we circle swept to come up, and we set our intention. We're continuing on now. Let's check the timing. Again, this is going to be a 60-minute class, so this is exactly the beginning part, okay? Hey, Greg, did everyone get the link to this YouTube thing? Thanks. All right, friends, so here they are, continuing that check-in of the body. The messaging here is to help them understand your body changes from day to day. Let's come up safely. So you notice we put hands on hips to lift their chest, chin, and eyes to come to mountain pose instead of their arms, ears together with the arms extended far away. We're changing leverage to help anyone who's healing in their lower back. All right, so now here we are in the first set, the first side of Ardha Chandrasana. It's a 60-second posture. We start that 60-second count from the moment you say half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana, let's begin. We're doing this traditional posture, but we got to this first of the 26 poses in a unique way. All of the messaging is about everything we do in half moon. So this is a very similar idea. However, we got a couple options for their hands. Instead of enforcing Kali Mudra, where the hands are behind the ears exclusively, and that you have the pointer fingers released, some people who are healing in their shoulders, they might not be able to bring arms behind their ears without really tensing up their upper shoulders. So what we have is the hand holding a wrist as an option, so that they can keep a more open, broad upper body without having to adhere to all the rules here. And I'm not disputing that this traditional isn't effective. It is. But for folks that have a little bit of upper body postural distortion or tech neck, their chin is jutted forward, and this is how they present in mountain, this can be a little more reasonable to keep their shoulders down and back, okay? Everything else stays the same. You want the roots of their legs squeezing together. You want them to bump their hip beyond the edge. This student's kind of given up here, huh? As a teacher, it'll be our goal to help encourage a little more depth. That's the fun moment where you're like, hey, bump your hip out like you're pushing someone off of your mat, right? All right. Now they're going to their first back bend. Instead of having the arms up and the pointer fingers in Kali Mudra, we take a supported back bend for this first one. Again, the goal here is for anybody who's healing or building their practice, and this can be a safer experience for the first back bend. Back bends are scary. You need a chance to warm up, so this definitely is a nice entry point for that big chakra opening moment. And here they are. Watch how they transition. Their hands go through heart center. Again, that changes leverage as necessary to help protect their low back. Here we go, hands to feet pose. Now listen to the dialogue. There you go. Hug your legs. Hide your arms behind. Shift the work a little forward to your toe pads and begin to lengthen out your legs. This is great too. Again, lengthen out their spine, coccyx to neck, coccyx to heels. But notice we didn't say your goal is to step on all 10 fingers. Have you seen curvy people? Have you seen really tight students trying to just meet the goal of stepping on their fingers first? It's a nightmare. Instead, we're all about hug your legs, hide your arms. Some of you can step on your fingers. Look at the transition. They put hands on hips to come up, protecting their back. All right, second set. Now we're going to do a little different on the second set. We reach on up. As you drop on down, you have the option to drop the bottom arm. Let's see if I offer that in the video. You can see how they have the alternate hand grip here. And again, this really helps to keep the chest open, the shoulders down, and it's appropriate for people who have a little bit of upper body postural distortion. I'm apparently forgetting that in this video, so let's check it out. On your second side, I like to offer that they drop the lower arm. You know, your top hand is turned, palm turned down. And it can help people find the depth without the stress, without the strain. Again, if I'm doing my job as a teacher, I'd be coming over here and helping the student bump out her hip more. So let's notice that in the teaching methodology opportunity here. Change. Here they come up. Now, here's the second back bend. This is where the arms are up. Students understand that they can still take supported back bend if that's better for them. Instead of keeping Kali Mudra, we invite the arms at shoulder width apart. And they can always cactus their arms. See? This is great. When you're building a practice, this can be a little more accessible to change the leverage than having the arms and ears together. Both are best. But just understand, when you're teaching people in a workplace or a healthcare environment or a rec center, it's probably going to be a little more realistic because it's probably not 120 degrees, 40% humidity full of Bikram students, okay? So now this second set of the forward fold, instead of doing Padahastasana hands to feet pose, they're doing Padangustasana. They are looping their first two fingers to the big toes with their feet separated 6 inches apart. Why? Watch. They're doing this lovely hamstring stretch, lovely forward fold, coming up safely with their hands, hips, going in right into boom, Utkatasana. So that's what's fun in the sequence is we've got the feet separated, so they're already set up for awkward pose. We're going to do the traditional arrangement of 3 phases. They're in phase 1 right now. What's the goal of phase 1? Neutral spine curves, chest up like a cobra spine. Keep your arms solid. Second part is the tiptoe. This is great for everybody, building everyday what? Agility, balance, and coordination. Press your knees slightly up and forward and slide down with a nice flat back. The goal here isn't so low you go, right? No, no, no. It's about how high can you hike your heels. So we thrust the tops of the feet forward. You lean back, change, hold. Remember, arms stay solid. Third part. Lift your heels. Press your knees closed. Now, again, just like phase 2, phase 3 keeps a flat back, right? Straight spine. It slowly lowers you down like you're in an elevator, right? And how far do you go? Not all the way down where you're sitting comfortably. You hover your heels above your hips, just like in the traditional format. How do we change? We come up really slow, right? Yes.
3, 2, 1.
All right. So here they are. They're standing in mountain, nice and relaxed. This is great for reducing the blood pressure that kicks up after that activity. Second set. So that's where they do step back out to the footprint. And here you go. Get them right in. You know, we help people get into the posture so you get out of your head. So that second set, you go right where you left off and you get a little further. So you can see, nobody is slumping forward, but no one's got a straight spine. That's impossible in phase 1. Phase 2 and 3 is different. You do keep your spine straight and like you're sliding down the back wall. Keep your chest up, chin down, eyes open. Pause, lift your right heel, lift your left heel. There you go. Get a little higher. There you are. Shaking is good. Building new muscle. Slowly rise. Hold. Keep your arms solid. Heels drop. Part 3. So again, you raise up about an inch. Press the knees close. And then this is the deal. You are working like you're squeezing your knees together, holding a piece of paper. You slide down. If people have knee history, they're not going to go any lower than about here. If they're feeling good to go, take them a little lower. Encourage them to bounce. 3 times. Hold the up phase.
3, 2,
change. So we slowly rise, release, and relax. All right, Garudasana, eagle pose. So just like the traditional, we go right into eagle. Swing your right arm under your left, cross wrap and twist. Sit your hips down low first. Bring your right leg high up over and maybe wrapped around. Okay? A lot of students think it only counts if you get your ankle wrapped around. It's not for everybody. It has to do with limb length and the way your hips are constructed. Not how low you sit down to get into it. We work really hard to provide the all levels options. They can also kickstand their ankle. Second side. Inhale, circle sweep, touch the palms. Left arm under right. Cross wrap. There you are. Big breath in to lift the heart. Lift your elbows. This helps to massage your lymph nodes. And then you pull your elbows down. Now the goal here isn't to be the shortest eagle in the room. We don't want to engender competition like that. In the Open Up Yoga Teacher Training tradition, we talk about the body that brought you to class today. So it's about what you're experiencing. We provide some features and benefits. This is tourniquet effect, front side body, stretching and opening, back side body. But we're not talking about pull your fingers below your nose. That's not appropriate for all the bodies. It's just about squeeze, wrap, twist, change, second set. Now watch the second set add on. What do you think we'll add to eagle? This is a fusion class, so we can take liberties with the sequence. We like sleeping eagle. Inhale, lift your elbows high. And then exhale, touch your elbows to your knee. So this is an abdominal recruitment activity. You're pulling your belly to spine, challenges your balance. And again, if people are losing their balance, they could always kickstand their foot to their ankle. We like soaring eagle. So again, if you have people in the room that are a little more experienced and are really interested in intensifying this posture, we invite the soaring eagle. Square off your hips, flare out your toes. Then we come back and we take the time to create the eagle first to release into the second set. So we don't just stay on the legs. We go right back to eagle, meet, and then second side. Here comes our left under the right, cross wrap and twist. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, take your seat. Bring your left leg high up over, maybe wrapped around. Now we announce the pose first. We say what? Sleeping eagle. Inhale, lift your elbows up. And exhale, touch your elbow to your knee. Pull your belly button up and in. Breathe across your upper back. So even again, people can stay or play. That's how we load it up. We say stay or play. Soaring eagle. Unwrap your top leg, send it back. And the work isn't done just having your leg back. Notice we're squaring off the hip, flaring out the toes, finding that full extension of your leg. For more challenge, you definitely want to look at your elbow creases here. It's not so much about looking in the mirror on this one. Now you come back, meet eagle. You want to wrap your leg, complete the eagle. You want to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Change. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up. And exhale, arms down beside you, mountain. So we're still sticking with that theme of going from nothing to something to nothing. Let's enjoy some water. Now let's check our timing, friends. We want to make sure that we are landing on the 20-minute mark here, right? So you wouldn't have time to do sleeping eagle, soaring eagle if you were running late, okay? You would add on a little bit so that you would end right at 20 minutes. So they drank the water and they're coming back. Let's look at the balancing sequence. There's some different things going on here. As you know, Dandayamana Janu Shavasana is typically the first thing we do after water break. And this is typically where only about 10% at the most of students are able to work with 2 straight legs with the watertight webbing to webbing grip just below the big toe mound. Lock out both their legs and apply their forehead to their knee. Hold it there. Okay? We're talking about teaching people who are really tight in their hamstrings, have a little bit of low back pain, and are healing from any kind of injury, or just maybe they are curvy, all right? It's not a fair fight to ask someone with curves to lock out their leg, put their forehead on their knee, or lay down and take Shavasana. Like, that's their 2 choices. So what I'm really grateful for in our community where I practice as a student, this is endorsed. The teacher endorses hold your knee, fortify your supporting leg, and call it good. And then we open the door for the other people going further. If you're teaching the Open Up Hatha Yoga Fusion Signature Series, we're going to just hold this phase for the first set. So here's the second side. You've got the knee coming up. Keep your ankle flexed. You want to lock out your supporting leg because you're building your agility, balance, and coordination right here. Keep your eyes forward on the horizon. And again, if you're not in a 120-degree, 40% humidity room, it's not safe to extend your leg out, put your forehead on your knee. You've only been at this for 20 minutes and you've done 0 cardio to get warmed up. Remember, the traditional Hatha program presumes that you're in a very hot room getting that passive heat to open up your connective tissues. If you're not in a hot room, you should not invite people to extend their top leg and put their forehead on the knee. They're not warmed up enough. They didn't do any flow, and the room's not hot. All right. Now watch the second set. We're going to add from the Power Yoga tradition, Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana.
Second set invites Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana.
So again, you have people who want to take things further. They know that they can stay in the beginning phase or add on. So let's watch.
Hold your kneecap, or some of you like to take the toe here.
This is where we would invite hold the knee or take the toe.
Then extend your leg.
Notice how we start with the hand on hip in this one. Then we engage, raise the arm, and turn it up. So again, people who aren't warmed up yet, they can hold on to the knee, as we see this participant doing. And some people have the limb length to be able to kick out, but you see how we're not asking them to do unsupported forward flexion without being warmed up. There's nothing in their low back that's implicated here. So the turnout is just a feature of what kind of limb length and range of motion they have. This idea about forehead to knee, it presumes that you're good to go here, which in the general population, not everybody is. And you ask any spinal surgery professional, they will tell you everyone gets arthritis at L5-S1. And lots of people blow out the disc there when they do unsupported forward flexion, hyperextension of the lumbar while in hip flexion. And frankly, that's what Dandayamana Janu Shavasana asks you to do. That's our offering for the first posture and balancing. Now what's next? Dandayamana Dhanurasana, standing bow pulling pose. Now of course, this is going to be fun, and we'll wait for it because this is the second side of Utthita, sorry. See, nice and tall. Nothing's happening in your low back.
High, take a breath. And you exhale, turn out your hip.
Now, as a teacher, I do invite you and encourage you to stay on your mat for this sequence. All right, in the traditional, you have your teacher typically standing at the back wall or seated on their cushion. In our tradition, we're up on our mat, front of the class, looking in the mirror to see the whole class, or we're facing a group if there is no mirror and we're mirroring them. But I encourage you to be on your mat for this, because the new students and people who are healing, you want them to stay in these beginning phases. And if you're featuring that and showcasing that on your mat, they'll take up on it. Senior students are going further people, they're going to do their practice. They're not actually watching you. The only people that watch the teacher are the new students. So I do think this is one of those poses universally you're on your mat at the front of the class. Okay, now we're going to do dancer. Okay, now this is where the teacher does get off their mat. You can't look at your watch and do dancer pose very effectively. I mean, you can, but you probably shouldn't. So you get out of their way, turn them loose. You teach from the side, and you're timing this. Yeah, we do the 1 minute for the first set, 30 seconds for the second minute, and that timing starts from the moment you say Dandayamana Dhanurasana, standing bow, pulling pose. See? So you can't see your knee in the mirror. Now, if there's no mirror there, it's going to be on you, the teacher, to perhaps have everybody in a place where you could be holding their upper arm or spotting them till they get the full kick, and then they pivot their hip, charge their body down. Check the body positioning of your teacher. I encourage you guys to do this. Be real coachy in this moment. Take a knee. Be at the corner watching them so you can see the whole room but not be in their way.
Second time, take your left hand out like you're holding a tray. Reach back, pick up your foot at your arch. Join all your fingers in the grip. Raise your right arm high and seal your knees closed. Press your knees tight and peel back your left shoulder. When you can't see it, keep your chest up, keep reaching up and kick.
Yeah, so friends, this is what we're looking for in this posture. Encourage your students to bring the arm behind the ear and keep the chest lifted so they get their whole bow as able. And then when and only when they can kick no further, that's a great time to charge the body down. See the thumb sneaking to the interior of the foot? We encourage perhaps the cupped hand. That helps reduce fatigue on your wrist flexors, extensors, and it helps to open up the chest shoulder. So if I saw that in real life as a teacher, I'd encourage her to take the cup of her foot. Instead of holding it like a hamburger, we want to hold it like a scoop. Okay, now second set, if you have a really sporty crowd, I do want to encourage you to consider inviting sugarcane. I don't think we do that here, but let's be clear. This is half the time, and we go right where we left off, and we ask ourselves, can I ease back? Can I kick it further? This is an advanced posture. Yeah, this is challenging. So if people are building, definitely have them holding the wall, just like we do in the traditional sequence. But we keep this because it's one of people's favorite postures. It really increases your commitment to your discipline and your focus and your determination. The muscle you're really building in dancer, I think we can all agree, is patience, humility, and commitment, as well as cardio and endurance. Yeah. This is so fun to see. And when people fall out, we don't say the word fall. We say, hey, if you come out, come right back. You've got some time. Oh, yeah. Pretty shitty, though. I got to say, I'm not proud of interrupting people's practice by high-fiving them. I get a little bit carried away. We want to keep people in their practice, so we don't say their names, and we certainly don't stop what they're doing to high-five. So that was a little showy. Sorry about that. Now, if you want to go further, yeah, you can hold onto your shin, as this participant is doing. That's very cool. But I'm blue that her foot is flexed. we talk a lot about how you activate the peroneus longus and tibialis posterior muscles, the muscles that wrap under your foot, create the arch that improve your agility and balance and coordination. The foot in the air informs the foot on the floor, so good for her now, shifting to more of the point, the flared toes. Instead of the point, instead of the flex, somewhere in the middle that has all this nice energy. Informs the pada bandha on the floor. God, what am I doing in this room? I'm just getting in their faces. We want to make sure it's their practice. They're not taking our class so much as they are in their practice. So we seek to facilitate their practice. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing there. I'm a little embarrassed. Okay, now watch the way that we roll this. One of the biggest complaints about the traditional series is this whole mandate of the arms behind the ears and the body down, leg up for ostensibly 10 seconds, but it always feels like a minute. We're just here for a second. This kind of extension away from the midsection is murder on people's low back. So right away, we bring hands to heart center to adjust the leverage as needed, and we take them to Dekasana airplane. And then watch, step feet to meet. We can thank Stephanie Larson for that move. She created that. She's a group fitness professional in the Seattle area, and I just want to thank her till the day I die for this flow here. I love it. We're just in balancing stick for a second, then we bring hands heart center. This really helps our low back. We go into airplane, we look forward if the mirror is available, and then look at this swan expression here. That's a body down, that's a leg coming up, and watch, she's getting the full blast and then change, feet to meet. Guess where she's at? She's at the front of her mat. And she's taking just a quarter turn to the side wall. Now here's the big way we distinguish this fusion sequence from the traditional. In the traditional, you know, standing stuff, we're always stepping right to left at the back of the mat over and over. You're doing the same move over and over. You're coming out of a posture and you're stepping feet to meet. You're coming out of the posture, stepping feet all throughout the standing series. Now, I don't know about you, but I know I've got a materially different body on this left hip complex, this left knee, because of 90-minute classes, year in and year out, where we're stepping right to left, year in and year out. I mean, why hasn't anybody stopped the bus and said, why are we always loading up one side of the body in this traditional series? No one ever fights it because it's traditional. Why do we do it? Because we've always done it that way. Started in 1971, we're still doing it today. So the misalignment opportunities of loading up this one hip every day over and over again, it has implications and ramifications in the whole kinetic chain. Why don't we care about what's going on this side of the body? We do, and in this offering, we eliminate that whole step right to left over and over and over and over again in the traditional sequence. All we did was we took a quarter turn, we stepped to the front of the mat, we stepped out wide, we got a nice forward fold, aka your Dande Mana Bibhaktipada Paschimottanasana. We came out of it safely with hands to hips, and then we didn't budge. We stayed with the wide legs separated. And we're going into our first side of triangle. Hold, watch. Second side, just like always. High triangle is a nice posture to do in between. Kind of gets you organized there, parallels your feet. It's a safe transition so you don't rotate your knee. Second side. And we're all about the same priorities of alignment as in the traditional, because if you look at your back thumb, that keeps the back of your neck long, and you've got this wonderful elbow, knee, chin, shoulder, eye, thumb connection that we love. And as ever, we offer people to look down. She's too low, isn't she? Yeah, she's touching well below her tricep. You can see her booty poke out. If I was doing my job as a teacher in this video, I'd encourage her to stretch up and sink her hip. You know that, so I apologize for that. I'm not serving my student well in this. This is a bit of a critique of this moment in my teaching. Not proud of it. Okay, watch. Straighten leg, parallel your feet. Now watch. Now, high triangle. Yeah, so that's that whole in the middle thing. Now we're going to take a second set of the forward fold. We're going to do the Prasarita Padottanasana with a shoulder rinse. So instead of the Dande Mana Bibhakti Padapaschimottanasana, where it's press, push, lift, coccyx to neck, coccyx to heel, stretch, this one is just the restful sequence. People can do a tripod headstand here. So if you have a sporty crowd that's looking for that, there we go. We're loading it up. 90-degree elbows, hands in line with your feet. And then we're working to spot them so they know they're safe. But yeah, people can either rest here after that set of triangle that's very challenging, or they can add on and do their inversions. And here we go.
And keep working your elbows toward each other to create your foundation.
There you go. So some people are resting and some people are rocking.
Squeeze your feet together.
Because in this sequence, we invite all levels, and sometimes people want to do an inversion instead of pull, pull, pull. So both are best. That's why we're doing both. This is their second set of the wide-legged forward fold. All right, now here we go. Watch. Again, hands to hips. It's a safer transition. We're going to stay where we are. We're not stepping right to left, left to right. We're going to go right into triangle. Right foot toes pivot. Take a big old lunge. Scoot your back leg back. Flip your palms. Look at your back thumb. And tilt your body. Now in this second set, we add on. People love binds and birds. So again, this is appropriate for brand new people that are healing, new to fitness, super curvy. That's why we play free bird too. Instead of mandating it has to be the bind in the coronal plane, people can hold their heel, step their back leg to meet their front, and then they can cup their heel. They can hold the front of the heel, or they can cup their calf or their heel so that they don't have to be in the bind. So if that's not available to them, they still have a way to goof around with Bird of Paradise there, as you can see.
Like you're just coming in from the car and you got too many packages. We do this every day, right? Second trip is to walk your shape. Or maximizers. Sometimes that
Yeah, so it's adding on to Trikonasana. So remember, people can stay in Trikonasana. They can stay in their side angle pose with binds. They can stay in just a half bind, so that it could be a really restful moment too. You know, think about the person who's healing or building. They could just be in side angle with a half bind. Let's take their second side. High triangle through the middle. And there they go. Dropping the arms. Identifying the left foot toes. Pivot to the front of the room. Bend your knee. Take your lunge. Tilt your body. Elbow, knee, chin, shoulder, eye, thumb. Again, this cat is too low. I wish I had helped her a little bit more. But hopefully she's going to take the second side of Bird of Paradise in her free bird expression, in which she's going to capture her heel and stand up and face the back wall.
Yes. Now stand tall.
Yeah, so again, you know, in the traditional sequence, there's no Bird of Paradise. There's certainly no bound standing splits, and that's fine. That is a discipline. I really love the traditional sequence because it's like a martial arts. You know, you don't have anything to decide for yourself, and that's kind of the freedom inherent in the system. But again, if you're teaching general population, all levels, perhaps not in a hot room, this sequence can work for everybody. Now check it out. They came out of their second side of bird. They didn't budge. They're not stepping right to left or anything. They put their hands at the hips and they shortened their stance. And now look, they're pivoting to the back first. There's a reason. We're going to do just one set because we're working on up almost to the 40-minute mark. And so instead of doing Dandayamana Bib Haktapada Janu Shirasana, the forehead to knee that nobody does right, and frankly nobody teaches right except for where I practice, a lot of teachers get interested in the front leg being straight. A lot of students are obsessed with straightening the front leg. And if they're coming out of that with their arms, ears together, that's a lot of load on their back. My teacher, when he teaches the traditional, is the only safe teacher I've ever heard, really helps us understand that you keep your chin tucked in until the last moment. Students be rolling up out of this pose scares me every day when I see it in real life. You see the front leg lock out, you see their hip, the front hip jut back, you see this serious hang time with the arms away from the ears in unsupported forward flexion, totally hyperextending their lumbar spine while in hip flexion, balancing in an asymmetrical posture. It's a nightmare. So in this tradition, we've decided to just look at the risk versus the reward. And in that cost-benefit analysis, we've said, let's just do pyramid. Everyone just wants to stretch anyway. You know, the thyroid, parathyroid, all of that stuff aside, it's just a straight leg, chin to shin, Parj Votanasana pyramid. Now, people can touch the floor, people can put hands on blocks, people can put hands on hips, people can take reverse namaskar, all those great arm expressions here, but check it. They're putting hands on hips, lift their chest, chin, and eyes, safe. That's safe. Now watch, they're pivoting. Now they're pivoting to the front. Get squared up, widen your stance, lift your heart, take a deep breath, and again, Create the arm expressions that served you before. So some of them are taking reverse namaskar, or you can put hands to hips or hold your elbows. Big inhale to lift your heart, and then again, pulling them out of their practice. I'm a little embarrassed, sorry. So here they are. They're folding in half.
You can make it forehead to knee.
And yeah,
You can make it
chin to shin, forehead to knee,
See what's right for your
straight arms. But the idea with pyramid, as you know, is really root the front heel, really help the front hip back, and really feel this long extension of the front leg. It's a hamstring stretch. But you want to make sure you microbend your front knee, of course, so you don't lock it out and stress out the joints. But trust me, by virtue of the fact that they're upside down, by virtue of the fact that their chin is working to the shin, they are getting the throat lock sensation. They are getting all the benefits of the thyroid parathyroid massage, the Jalinda Harabanda.
press your heel.
And there's the memo right there. Press your heel down, help your hip back. Now again, this is just a risk versus reward assessment. In the 60-minute sequence, we only ever did one set. But man, arms out, front knee locked out. I get scared. I look at it every day and I think people are getting hurt. Let's just do pyramid. It's safer. Hands to hips, safer. Now watch. Step to the feet, to the front. Boom, mountain, you're ready for tree. I'm sad everybody moved. I don't know what that was about. But that's the idea, that you come out of that second side of pyramid and boom, step feet to meet, and you go right into tree. Now, as you know, in the traditional Hatha sequence, there's no hip openers offered before you're suddenly asked to do a one-legged lotus position. So if you're built like I am, where your hips are tighter skeletal-wise, who takes the hit if you don't have the external rotation available to you? Your knee takes the hit. So the risk versus reward doesn't line up. So in this tradition, we definitely say, hey, bring your foot to the high hip crease with an underhand grip, or power tree if your knees disagree. We're making room for toe stand. If you have Hatha practitioners in this class and you know they want to go to toe stand in this one and only one set of tree, you can announce that, hey guys, now we're going to tree, inviting toe stand. Shift your work to your left leg, reach down, pick up your right foot. Here we go, second side. So as ever, you want to match what you did on the first side. And again, here's your power tree. She has her foot to leg, leg to foot, well off of the knee joint. Hands at heart center. I'm a little sad that her hands are so high up. My teacher is very clear about this. This is just like a fearful thing. This is a proper thing. Kind of fearful, proper. So her hands should be below her heart. Shoulders should be down and back. Chest up, chin down, eyes open, and your beautiful breath flowing in and out. Concentrate on it, meditate on it. Here's your second side of your toe stand. So again, we read the room in this tradition. Would you load up toe stand to the general population at the YMCA in a cold room with no mirror? No, no, no. Unless a buddy of yours came to class and you knew that they were a traditional Hatha practitioner, then yes, yes, yes. That's how we roll. We read the room. Honor your space. Turn around, lay down. Here's our Shavasana. So if we're doing it right, what minute mark are we at here? 40 minutes? Let's check. Ooh, it's looking good. Now in a 60-minute format, you want to budget for a good 2 minutes of silence here. So if you really can make it happen, this is where you would also do what with the lights. You turn on the lights because they're face up. And they're going to be face up for a lot of the class moving forward. So, oh, well, we turned off the lights here. Must be having technical difficulties. But this is the most wonderful time for them to let their whole practice land. I'm really embarrassed about what's going on with the lights. Sorry about that. All right, so now we're going to Pavana Muktasana. Floor series begins. Now, we're worried about the low back health and happiness. So there's a couple of variations you'll see here. We're holding the right knee to chest as per usual. We're emphasizing that her opposite shoulder's down, the super long leg is flexing toes to nose to maintain the fortified supporting long leg side. And you can straighten up both legs, but honestly, if I have people with back pain in there, I kind of encourage them to hold the right knee and then take the left. I know that's not right, traditionally speaking, but if it's better for their back in the body that they brought to class today, that's what we select. So let's be clear. In the sequence, the way I have it written, we're actually going to retain the right knee, bring the left, and then release the right and work on the left side for the Pavana Muktasana wind removing pose. Now, they kept the left knee, brought the other knee in for their two knee hold. And again, you reach over for your hands or your elbows as able.
As you pull down these two opposing forces,
So we're doing some dynamic tension. They're pressing your shins into your hands, using your hands to pull down your shins to help flatten your back.
Change. Keep your legs straight up. Sit up on your hands.
Now sit on your hands, palms turned down. Now watch this. Lower it down. Now since everybody always wants abs, and a lot of times people don't take the Hatha practice because there's no abs in it, right here we can really emphasize the long drop, which is what I love about our classes that my teacher teaches. I absolutely love it. But what I'm saying here is, hey, you could maybe throw in some scissors, some heel taps, some swimmer kicks. Just make sure they're propped to their elbows for safety in their back. And again, this is what we do in Hatha Fusion. We would add abs here at the 40-minute mark, just like in the power yoga class. Because the saddest thing in the world is seeing students work in some abs before and after class. We kind of like factored that in, although I'm not showcasing it here in the video, I'm sorry to say. But feel good about putting abs there. Do a transitional sit-up, flip them over, here comes Cobra.
And today, tuck your pelvis down.
You know, laying on your tummy just in and of itself is a back bend.
Pull up your belly button.
Adding on Cobra and Shalabasanas and floor bows adds to the same idea that when you are belly down, you have to organize your pelvic floor, pull it up and in. You have to lengthen your tailbone down and back. It's not about should you squeeze your buns or not. Your buns are gonna squeeze in an effort to open your hip flexors. But one big priority here that we really talk about a lot in this tradition is to organize Mula Bandha, to pull your pelvic floor up and in. It's not that I'm asking you to tuck your tailbone per se, not that I'm asking you to squeeze your glutes, although it will tuck and squeeze. The idea here is to fortify from the inner thigh line, really protect L5S1.
Off your mat. This helps lengthen your tailbone down and back. Squeeze your legs and lift your heart like the cobra being charmed. Can you feel
Now this is a wonderful place to do the foot thing. We were talking about this in training. We're going to work on this next week. That you can hold their feet, the cobra gets higher. And if you did that, you held their feet and the cobra raised up higher, stay tuned to give them the foot massage. If you know your student, you know that they like that and they will receive this well. This is where you put the towel over their feet and you walk into the arch with your toes. And they're happy, and it feels good to provide that as a teacher.
Bring your arms out like airplane.
Now we're going to skip the one leg up, other leg up, two legs up, because it's not available for everybody to be on top of their arms. You know, if you lack the range of motion to be able to join the elbows, yeah, we know there's all that benefit to crushing into this joint, locking out, and getting that wrist massage, but a lot of people are healing carpal tunnel. We're over it. It's a 60-minute sequence, so we're trying to economize. So we're just going to go into the Purna Shalabhasana. We're going to lift up and then lower down. Left ear down, look right. Do 2 sets, just like we did 2 sets of Cobra. Yeah, see? This is a wonderful adjustment to offer your students, putting the towel on their feet and walking on them. You don't want to crush the heel. You don't want to work up higher than that. Just your toe pad, the big toe mound, into the arch feels really nice. Now, on our second set, we're adding on. We're going to take the bind of the shoulder rinse. So here they are. They're lifting their feet, their face. It's a whole huge back bend on your tummy, as you know. So you want to lengthen your tailbone down and back. You want to pull up the inner thigh line. All right. Yeah. So here we go. Just your typical belly down spine strengthening series, but you know, economize because it's a 60-minute format. 2 Cobra, 2 Shalabhasana locust poses, and now 2 floor bows. Let's go. As soon as I'm done walking on their feet. That's a comfortable student to teacher ratio, 3 people.
Floor bow, let's go. Bend your knees, capture your feet with your thumb alongside your fingers. Hey, if you're grounding 1 foot today, that's great. We've got 2 legs, 2 sets, 2 sides.
Yeah, so if you're taking 1 foot at a time, the student right here has an arm extended forward and they're kicking into their free arm.
Your hands, let your hands receive your feet. Then
Lengthen your tailbone down and back, look your feet out. Yeah, see? It just adds that little more extra energy. Not to point, not to flex, but to flare out through the ball of your foot.
Last time, change. Nose tip down, then let your left ear lift. Off to your right.
So again, we'll always do 2 sets of this. And of course, your second set could be rocking horse. But if somebody took a one-legged option, you would want to be offering the same posture so they can get that second side. Shh. Shh. And then this is a nice place again to do adjustments.
All right, let's take a second.
And see the pat on the back that says, hey, I'm done, I'm moving on now.
Second side for your other leg. If you're choosing rocking horse, flex your ankles so your feet are flat to the ceiling and hold your ankles this time. Find a round of breath. Exhale and
Now, here's a fun adjustment for rocking horse.
Looking good. Keep your
You hold their heels, pull it back. You help them maintain their thighs on the mat. And you encourage them to keep their chin level with the floor, eyes level with the horizon, so the back of their neck stays long, their shoulders stay down and back.
1. Release. Nose tip down. Relax your body. Put your right here on the mat and chill. 100% work to 100% rest.
So this is where we emphasize in our program timing. So you can see how I'm watching what time it is, because we want to start on time, end on time. 3 20-minute segments, warm up, challenge, and floor. They're on the floor series now. We use music that's universally appropriate, so you can hear there's not anything going on crazy in the music. Look how we got out of that second floor bow. We went into a child's pose. Again, we work for 3 kinds of adjustments. So you saw verbal adjustments, you saw physical adjustments, and me work in the room walking around energetic adjustments. Although, of course, I'm disavowing a little bit of what you saw. I want to dial it back, make sure we're not taking our class, we're facilitating their practice. So all that high five stuff is a little showy, silly. But check it, they went to a child's pose to soothe their back after those 3 double sets of back bends. That feels good. They go right into camel. Why? We're skipping Supta Virasana, we're skipping Ardha Kramasana, because these are contraindicated poses for people who have back injuries, knee injuries, super tight hamstrings, super low back, no core strength. I'm over it, okay? 2 knees together kicking your heels out is far more than the 7 degrees of rotation available to most people's knees. And it's a sworn oath in our tradition that you keep the knees softened and in alignment. So by the virtue of the fact that we're saying put your knees together, kick your heels up, sit between your feet, pulls most people way out of that 7 degrees of rotation available to the knee joint. The knee is a hinge. All it wants to do is flex and extend. So we don't do Supta Virasana. And we don't do Ardha Kramasana, having your arms way far away from like that, trying to keep your hips to your heels, trying to lower your forehead to the mat first. It just engenders all kinds of drama in the tradition. Back pain, shoulder pain, and the drama of put your forehead on the mat first. I'm over it. We're not doing it in this sequence. We're being efficient with our time, and we're choosing only the poses that are going to be the safest, give people the best results in the quickest amount of time. So it doesn't take you 10 years to build your practice. God bless you for taking 10 years to build your practice. I think this is a great offering for people to enter into that discipline. But to ask brand new people in off the street from the supermarket and the bowling alley to go 90 minutes in some of these poses that are contraindicated for their bodies and saying, yeah, either do the pose or lay down, keep going, in 10 years you'll get it. I just don't think that's a way to build a community as efficiently as if we said, hey, this will work for you no matter who you are. And then they'll fall in love and get on the path with a traditional program, I'll bet you. Or not. Either way, we help them get a good class in today's body for today's benefit. Okay? That's the intention here. Woo! We just went from camel, 2 sets with a nice little embryo in between, right into a down dog. How come we don't have down dog in the traditional series? It's like the most therapeutic posture in yoga besides shoulder stand is down dog. You look up yoga remedies, you look up any ailment, and you look up what pose addresses that ailment. Down dog is like the answer to all of them. So we're sequencing it where you came out of that second camel, went right into a down dog. Oh man, that feels like a beautiful way to extend the spine, get all that nice blood sugar and oxygen to your brain. And we took a half pigeon. There's no hip openers in the traditional sequence because it was developed by a human being from the subcontinent of Asia, born in an Indian body with Indian range of motion. You bring this class in the year 2019, in the 21st century, and you ask people with different bodies from different climates and traditions to do the traditional class? Like people who are built differently than these open hips, super bendy, hypermobile folks from the subcontinent of Asia, we need hip openers. So we're throwing in some half pigeons. Here's the transition. We're going right into Janu Shavasana. But instead of saying, hey, bend your knee, put your forehead there and call it good curvy people, new people, sit there and choke, while you got your knee and your forehead because you got all this beautiful deliciousness to wrangle, we instead say, why don't we do a straight leg, hands paralleling your shin, or take the alternate. Hold your knife edge, take a half bind, bend your elbow, and hinge forward. So, both are best. I know there's a lot of good things for Janu Shavasana, traditional forehead to knee pose. But man, this short torso and these curves and these aftermarket parts, You know, I can barely get into it, and I'm an expert, and I've been at this forever. I want to give someone something more accessible so they can enjoy it today, no matter what kind of body they have, okay? That whole 90% of the pose is 100% wrong. It's not what we do. We're going to teach not poses, people. And thanks for listening. That's what we're doing here. It's their second side of half pigeon. You saw the transition, so now they're facing the front. They got their second side. Now, you know your students, if you have sporty people who want to get into a king pigeon, I'm not going to shut it down in real time. That's another thing that we do. We open the door so people can listen to their bodies and they can decorate as needed because, you know, this is their practice. It's different from the traditional series because the traditional series is a discipline. It's martial arts. Let's be clear, the 90-minute 26 and 2 is martial arts, and I happily participate in that as a student. And when I teach it, I toe the line. I don't goof around with the sequence. I never will. Not in our house, not at our school. No, we're going to serve it up. When I teach 90-minute, I teach 90-minute. But man, if I go to a studio where they don't have heat or mirrors, it feels sick and wrong to teach Supta Virasana. It feels sick and wrong to teach Ardha Karmasana. All these active older adults with knee pain, back pain, spinal stenosis isn't appropriate. So I don't understand why I would walk into a class like that and be like, everybody, let's begin. There's no reason. This is an offering for the 21st century body, for everybody. We're flowing this last part. So you saw how we went half pigeon, and then we got into the Janu Shavasana. We've got a fun couple of moves in between those, incorporating the rapturous back bend of dancer's table. So let's watch for that. Hi, Kenneth.
Can you roll your left shoulder down a little more? Can you drop?
You know, here's an example. She's holding her foot like a hamburger. I'm not going to shut that down. I don't care that it's not a watertight webbing to webbing grip 1 inch below the big toe mound, because this is about her practice, not this rule of mandating a specific grip. Both are best. They're just different. It's like juicing and smoothies. We're so binary in this culture. So, well, what's better? You don't have to choose a winner. You just notice for whom and at what cost is something a good idea. Dancer's table. Everybody loves this rapturous back bend. It's our transition so that we get them where? They're going to sit down now, and now we're going to get into our Paschimottanasana. Oh, we're going to go Upavishta Konasana first, the side splits.
Your arms forward. Now notice the urge to round your upper back. Nothing to worry about, but lift your heart instead, and then hinge at your hip. We want to preserve the curve. So notice.
Yeah, so see how she's all schlumpy with the rounded upper back here? Kind of not interested in that. We want to have the same, nice tall spine, chest up, chin down, eyes open, beautiful breath flowing in and out, flat back that we always prioritize in the traditional. But again, it's the end of the class. It's her class. It's her practice. I'm not going to shut it down. She's enjoying herself. She's not hurting herself. But if she comes after class and be like, I have back pain, I'd be like, I was a little worried about that pose. Let's talk about your options there. Here we go, Paschimottanasana.
Do that is to preserve your lumbar curve. That's what this whole jazz about move your flesh and scooch to the high sit bone is. It's to make this curve be here. So let's preserve this. Keep
the lumbar curve. See again, toes as able, or hold your shins, or parallel your hands to your shins. Our goal is to just keep chest up, chin down, eyes open.
Lift your chest as you breathe in. Look in the mirror to help maintain your perfect spine here. And keep going. If you feel like you have the range of motion to drop down further, that's fine. Just keep your chest up, chin down, eyes.
So as you can see, everything I do is a loving homage to my teacher and our school. But for this offering as a Hatha fusion, I'm just taking some liberties, making some changes to meet the students that are in front of me for that given day, date, and time in the body that has brought them to class and honoring that. It's just a different idea.
And make sure you're sitting up tall. Take your right arm behind you to help you sit up tall. Raise your left arm up, and as you exhale, help your elbow in front of your knee, not to push there.
You always want to revolve above the rib cage, right? Everything above the belly button can and should twist. Everything below the belly button should stay put. So I'm not worried about the one hand holding the bottom knee. You see a lot of people adhere to checking that box in the traditional idea, hurting their low back because they're so interested in holding their knee with the bottom hand that I'd rather they listen to their spine and their curves dictating the safe, pain-free range of motion instead of checking a box. Are you holding on to your knee?
Lean to heel. Bring your left arm behind you to help you sit up tall. Raise your right
And I also encourage this bottom leg to be straight so you can have two sit bones down. Sometimes people are curvy and their hips are askew. I would rather have the bottom leg be straight and their hips level even so that we don't disrupt the SI joint. There's only 1 to 3 millimeters of articulation available between those two bones of your sacrum and your iliac crests. That if you're going to apply any shearing force in excess of 3 millimeters there, you're going to tear some ligaments. And I've met people throughout my journey who were adhering to this rule of reaching for the bottom knee and twisting from that place, putting some force into it, leveraging the strength of their upper body, torquing and tearing the delicate structures of L5, S1, and SI joint. We're doing lion's breath here instead of not because is wrong. I do it 3 times a week happily. But in this class experience, it's a little weird without a mirror, probably too. It's just weird anyway. You're spitting, there's stuff flying out of your nose. That's where MRSA lives, you guys. So, hey, you know, for just risk versus rewards, let's do fish pose, 3 lions breath as their final pranayama, and then hold space for a nice 5-minute shavasana. I should really be sitting in communion with my class in their shavasana, so I don't know what I'm doing walking around right now. But I just really want to thank you for letting me take the time to explain a little bit more behind the rationale of our sequencing. We are ever grateful for the traditional sequence, and I am forever grateful for my school where I practice and my teacher that I love so much. Thank you for listening to my ideas. And I look forward to teaching you more about how to teach this sequence when you have general population people in your all levels class in a not heated room, probably without a mirror, and only 60 minutes on your hands in which to help them get the safest experience with the best results they could possibly get in the quickest amount of time. My heart goes out to everybody who dedicates themselves to the path and stays at it for years upon years upon years, doing the traditional format. I'm grateful that I finally found a school and a teacher that I love so I can get all the benefits out of the traditional format. Hopefully this is a stepping stone taking people into such a path. Or hopefully it's a way to help them understand a little bit more about the beautiful tradition that is yoga. And thank you for letting me guide you in your journey toward becoming the best yoga teacher that you can be. Teaching yoga, the side hustle to save the world. Thanks for listening. Namaste.
Hands to heart center. Recall the intention you set for your practice. And again, thank yourself for being on your path. And for being on the path to teach, guiding, and lighting the way for other people. It is with yoga that we keep our lighthouse polished. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up, touch your palms. As you exhale, bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, this gesture of offering. Om Shanti, peace, peace. Namaste.
Namaste traditional in class, but I'm going to try to offer this to everyone else. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.